What's going on, guys? Of course, I'm back with another one, and I just finished watching a movie called Irresistible, starring Steve Carell, Rose Byrne, and Mackenzie Davis. First of all, this movie was directed by Jon Stewart himself. I had no idea that Jon Stewart actually directed movies. I was gonna say this is his first movie he directed, so I had no earthly idea. But I looked it up. I did some research, thank goodness. And he's done other projects. One called Rosewater, which looks very interesting to me. Yeah, but and I knew that he was into politics like that. Because I heard a lot of people comment on how he knows his stuff, right? And I believe that. I believe that by watching this movie, which we'll get into later on. But it was still a little shocking. I didn't know, man. That's pretty cool. With that said, let's get into the movie review now. And for people who don't know, because, these things are not being advertised like they used to be when theaters were open. Irresistible is about a character that Steve Carell plays. He's kind of like they put a spin on things. There was a show called Spin City that kind of evolved around this. But they work with political candidates. And they helped him, win that election, and that was his job. He was on the Democrat side, and Rose Byrne's character was on the Republican side for this specific, election. And so he had to go to a little rural country town to help this guy named Jack Hastings run for mayor of his town, which at the time Jack Hastings was just speaking his mind in a video that went viral on YouTube, of course, and he had no idea that Steve Carell's character would get a hold of this information, and Steve Carell's character saw this opportunity. He said, "Man, let's get this guy. He seems like a fresh idea. This guy was a war veteran who actually seemed like he had some Democrat views, and that was the interesting part, I guess, to Steve Carell's character. And so he sought to move in and attack, in a word. And with that being said, that was the thing that sparked the movie off. All right, because so much stuff unravels as soon as he gets in the town. Now my positives on this are I throughout the movie, because it was directed by Jon Stewart, I could easily see Jon Stewart's comedy dripped in and out of the movie. It was sprinkled all over the movie, man. You get his jokes, what he would say. I'm familiar with his humor. He's a funny dude. He's a funny dude. Now, so he definitely had Steve Carell's character kind of shadow that, kind of portray that, what Jon Stewart would say in this position, in this predicament. Those parts, those certain parts were funny. They kind of hit. They kind of took the time to hit, but they when they hit, those jokes hit. I was like, that's something Jon Stewart would say. Another thing I liked about this movie was the fact that there were a lot of there were a lot of guest appearances, a lot of cameos by other actors and comedians, but real quick ones, but pretty good cameos. And I like, but I'll get into the other negative aspect of that in a minute. Keep that in mind. There are a lot of cameos in this movie, real quick ones. The third thing that I liked about this movie was that there is a unexpected twist. Of course, I can't say the twist, but when that twist comes about, it's perfect. It actually, it's actually was done right. The twist was done right, and it's got some deep message to it too. It really does. I admire that. I admire that about the movie. There are a lot of messages thrown in there. Like, okay, that's that's true. There were at least two. There were at least two messages thrown in this movie that you could learn from. That a lot of people can learn from when it comes to politics. All right. Now let's get to the negatives, which is going to be a little heavier. Negatives about this movie, man. While I'm waiting for those Jon Stewart jokes, there was a lot of drag time. It was a lot of just talk. It felt like it was a lot of dragging and a scene waiting for next scene on to nothing, of almost uninteresting transitions. Oh, it didn't. Some of that stuff didn't pull me in. I'm sorry, it didn't pull me in. And when I say that there was a lot of cameos in this movie, which were good cameos, those cameos were not used to their best ability, in my opinion. They could have been stronger. Those characters could have been stronger. There were weak characters from, good actors, good comedians. Will Sasso being one of those. That's one of my favorites from Mad TV. They could have went so far further with his character, I think. At least give me a laugh. Give me a laugh, man. It's Will Sasso we talking about. It just didn't execute right. They didn't execute a lot of things right, man. When I think about a political comedy, it's a comedy / drama, but still, I want to laugh a little more. I'm not big on politics. Sorry. So you need to get me to chuckle at something. And I'm not saying it wasn't funny at all, but it took so long to get to something good within this movie, man. It was sad. They just didn't. I think of a good political movie or comedy. Let's go on something more like Campaign with Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis. I messed his name up all up, I know. Or maybe Vice, which was not really a comedy per se, but it was a better movie than this one. I'm sorry. Just to say that, man. Alright, it could have been a lot more to this movie. No shade to you, Jon Stewart. That's just how I feel, man. No disrespect, bro. With that being said, I gotta give this a I. Yeah, man. You gotta pull my interest a little more. If you're talking about a comedy. And this is coming from a comedian, so I expected a lot more. But it's alright, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you know the rest.